In the dark shadows, in the white cold, fearlessly we search for knowledge new and old. We drink the strong spirits and read the ancient tomes. The order of the Abracast. We are the brave and the bold. Your body is your temple, so let's make sure you got a badass t-shirt on it. Variety of cool occult themed t-shirts. And other merch like stickers, wall art, mugs, and more. Visit the storefront on Advertise.com. The Abracast. Occult, history, conspiracy, and violence.
Please note the explicit content indicator. This means that I use adult language. I do not speak in a humorless, public radio hushed monotone. I am excited and enthusiastic about the information that I present and the topics I discuss. You will hear ice rattle in my glass throughout the show. On the show, I joke about bodily functions, sex acts, religion, and politics. The topics may seem random or scattered through the back catalog. A list of show topics in chronological order is provided on the featured topic link at abercast.com. If any of these issues might trigger you, this might not be the podcast for you, and I wish you good luck finding a show more to your liking. It's that time again. The music is low. The party is over. The fire is dying down, and all the ordinary people passed out long ago. Now we are the only ones left. Hey everybody, this is John. Welcome to the Fellowcraft episode for February 2020. Before we get into this, go ahead and get your vessel of the yard and join me in thanking, you. Thank you very much, the supporters of the show out there. Without you, none of this could be possible. So here's to you. May we get what we want, but never, ever fucking get what we deserve. Yeah. Now that ceremony's out of the way, okay, so this is just a continuation of last month's Fellowcraft episode. A little bit of a refresher here. The UFO conspiracy part 2. So we were dissecting this conspiracy theorist. What's his name? Milton William Cooper. He did I'll just read it right here. What follows is a transcript. What follows this, what you're listening to, is the last half of a transcript of a 45-minute lecture given by Milton William Cooper on November 17, 1989 at the Whole Life Expo in LA. His speech was transcribed word for word using a micro cassette recording. All right. So where we left off in part 1 is Cooper's explaining what would happen to the general society at large if the truth of UFOs were to be acknowledged by the government. And he's talking about the shock that would be caused, the collapse of society, the collapse of the religious structure of the country. And he goes on, he actually touches on this thing that's really interesting, and it is really kind of thought-provoking about people worshiping these aliens as gods, even though he's saying quite clearly that they are not gods. They're just like us, kind of, except they have fucking UFOs. So that's kind of where it left off. And he goes to say, okay, so this is it. We're going to the transcript. There's nothing really wrong with what has been happening except for three things. The editor, or the guy who did the transcription here, says Cooper forgot to mention the third thing, or he was sidetracked, or he concluded it into the second thing. Okay, so here we go. Number one. When they decided to keep it secret, they needed to finance it. They couldn't tell the public, so they couldn't tell Congress. They decided to finance it with the importation and sale of drugs. Now, in the documents that I read, in Operation Majority, it specifically states that when George Bush, this is not W, this is his dad, was the president and CEO of Zapata Oil, he, in conjunction with the CIA, organized the first large-scale drug importation into the country from South America and Central America by fishing boat to the offshore oil platforms of Zapata Oil. And then from there went to the beach, thus bypassing all customs inspections and law enforcement inspections of any kind. They are still bringing in drugs to a limited extent in this manner. Another manner is by CIA contract aircraft, which one of their bases of landing is Homestead Air Force Base in Florida. Oh, that's funny. He doesn't mention Berry Seal or Mena, Arkansas, which we've talked about at length. We have affidavits from air traffic controllers who have vectored in the planes, who have made sure that they're not interfered with in any way. We have affidavits from personnel at Homestead Air Force Base who say the planes have been met by Jeb Bush, who is George Bush's son, as we all know now. We have affidavits from people who work in the Gulf of Mexico, in the offshore oil business, that yes, indeed, the drugs are coming in, at least some of them, from these offshore oil platforms. From the audience came a clear statement. Quote, just say no, unquote. Pardon? Right, just say no. Well, that's when we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, with your help. We are going to say no, no more. And you have to do it, and you have to act. You either have to act or watch your country go down the tubes. Now, that is one thing that's wrong. The next thing that's wrong is to keep the secret. They killed a lot of people who tried to leak it. And if I hadn't done it the way that I did it, you wouldn't be seeing me anywhere, standing or walking on this earth right now. Here we go. This all seems kind of banal, right? It's all like, yeah, okay, I can buy this. Here we go. They killed President Kennedy. And during the workshop, for those of you who haven't seen the tape, I will show you on the tape who shot the president and why. Between 70 and 73, in Operation Majority, it stated verbatim that President Kennedy ordered MJ-12. This is I'm steeped in this UFO. I know we don't talk about it a lot on the show, but I am just packed to the gills with all this UFO nonsense. And MJ-12 is Majestic 12. It's like this secret, like, board of academics and politicians and the like, to kind of oversee what really is going on with the UFOs. So Kennedy ordered MJ-12 to cease the importation and sales of drugs to the American people, and he ordered them to implement a plan to reveal the presence of aliens to the American people within the following year. His assassination was ordered by the policy committee of the Bilderbergers. So we know that he's talking about the Bilderbergers. The editor, I guess, when he transcribed it wrong. So the Bilderbergers, as we know, I'm steeped in a lot of this conspiracy nonsense. The Bilderbergers are there. It's an open secret nowadays. So I'm sure everybody out there knows what it is. Majestic 12 implemented the plan and carried it out in Dallas. It involved agents of the CIA, Division 5 of the FBI, the Secret Service, and the Office of Naval Intelligence. President Kennedy was killed by the driver of his car, and his name is William Greer. He used a recoilless, electrically operated, gas-powered, here we go, assassination pistol that was specially built by the CIA to assassinate people at close range. It fired an explosive pellet which injected a large amount of shellfish poison into the brain. And that is why in this document it is stated that President Kennedy's brain was removed. If you study the case, you will find that indeed his brain disappeared. The reason for that is that so they would not find the particles of the exploding pellet or the shellfish poison in his brain, which would have proved conclusively that Lee Harvey Oswald was not the assassin. In fact, Lee Harvey Oswald never fired a shot. He was the patsy. Mr. Cooper paused briefly, and a lady in the audience asked the obvious question. Why haven't you been assassinated? If they were to kill me right now, what would you think? Cooper posed. That it's the truth, several people chimed in. I've got them right where I want them. If they touch me, anyone who has ever heard me talk is going to be absolutely enraged. And is not going to know everything I've said is true. As long as they don't touch me, there's going to be some of you who are always going to be wondering, but eventually we're going to bring enough proof out. And if you're here during the workshop, you're going to see an awful lot of it that's going to prove to you that it's true. It's real. It is happening. Today, I've tried to uncover a lot of stuff just briefly because there is no time in 45 minutes to get into anything very much. He opened the floor to questions and answers. Question: why did the driver have to shoot Kennedy? Okay, here we go. Oh, I need some medicine. Because the other fools missed. There were a total of 3 shots fired at President Kennedy. One hit him in the throat and didn't kill him. And then 2 of them hit Connolly. One that was fired from the grassy knoll hit the president in the throat. The other 2 shots came from directly behind the limousine, not the school book depository building, and it hit Governor Conley. Conley, in his intelligence community circles, is known as a can-do man because he took 2 hits and still kept his mouth shut. How is it that the driver sitting on the front left-handed side of the car was able to blow off the right side of Kennedy's brain when the bullet actually entered in? And it would have been virtually impossible, another person asked. Mr. Cooper seized the gist of the question and ejected. For those of you who have been listening to all these talk show hosts whose job it is to be a talk show host and who have not done any legitimate research into this, if you come to the workshop, I will show you on the tape how it was done. And you will see that Kennedy was, in fact, slumped over against Jackie. His head was turned, and it was very simple. It was easy, and you will see it with your own eyes. The next question dealt with alien technology and asked, in essence, quote, hasn't anyone else other than the government come up with these energy technologies that the aliens have, unquote, to which Mr. Cooper answered, there's been quite a few people who've come up with it, and they've all been stopped. And they'll all continue to be stopped because once you have free energy. Once you have free energy, they no longer have power over you. Understand? That is why they stop it. A woman asked if any alien technology was being used in the present-day military equipment and was answered, yes, there are a lot of alien technology contained in the stealth bomber. That's right, the stealth fighter was flying 10 years before you knew it even existed. I gotta get my shit together. I think someone asked the question that I want to know later here in this. We'll see. A gentleman then asked, what was traded to the aliens for their technology? People and animals, replied Cooper succinctly. Another man asked, is the Soviet Union in on any of this? The Soviet Union and the United States of America have been close allies since the end of World War II and have been closely participating in the secret space program all this time. The Soviets have the same thing we have. Yes. What you see happening in the Soviet bloc right now is not the result of people standing up and saying we want to be free. It is the result of international bankers saying you tear down these barriers and you meet the West halfway. Give your people some freedom, and the West is going to take some freedom away from their people so that we can put together a one world economic system and have all the power. That's what's happening. If you don't believe me, stick around and watch it. So I'm going to just make a note here because we need to dig into this a little bit. So this speech was given in 1989. And what the social unrest in the Soviet Union that he's talking about is the end of the Cold War. What he's talking about up until 1980, kind of our position on the Soviet Union. Like, we acknowledge the Cold War, obviously. You know, Kennedy. The whole point of the race to the moon was the Cold War, right? The space race and all that, but generally speaking, on economic and military front, like to me, Korea, Vietnam, the little military actions, the Contras and the Sandinistas and all that stuff. To me, it seems like history is going to remember all of that as like World War III. We tie that right into the Cold War. I mean, that's literally, it was our fight against communism. And so when 1980 rolled around and we got rid of the fucking Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan got in office, he decided that he was going to defeat Russia. He's like, I'm going to crush them. And what he did is he tricked them into an arms race. So here's the thing with communism, socialism at all, whatever, is they can't generate money. Like, they can't generate wealth. They redistribute wealth. Whereas the free market, capitalism, generates wealth. So what Reagan did is he was like, I'm going to crush Russia. And he tricks them into getting into an arms race with him. So we start producing ICBMs and nuclear warheads, just astronomically. We just start stockpiling them. And Russia thought that, well, the doctrine of mutually assured destruction kind of makes them say like, well, shit, we got to start building all these nuclear weapons too. But the problem is they couldn't afford them because they can't generate wealth. So basically between Margaret Thatcher, Ronald Reagan, and Pope John Paul II, actually, those three people destroyed the Soviet Union. They made them eat themselves alive with this arms race. And in 87, Ronald Reagan, who I have to disagree with Cooper here. Ronald Reagan is not an international banker, but in 1987, Reagan here, we'll just hear it.
Behind me stands a wall that encircles the free sectors of this city, part of a vast system of barriers that divides the entire continent of Europe. General Secretary Gorbachev, if you seek peace, if you seek prosperity for the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe, if you seek liberalization, come here to this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate. Mr. Gorbachev. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Yeah, I get fucking goosebumps still. So I've called that on the show. I've called that the stone cold stunner of the Cold War. Fucking the glass broke. Ronald Reagan swaggered out to the ring. He drank a couple of Reagan-Weisers and fucking stone cold stunned him. Stunned all of the Soviet Union with that. He said it in 1987. Well, it took a few years, but eventually the wall came down. And that's the real geopolitical reason that there was there were social uprisings in the Soviet bloc. It wasn't because of UFOs. Aliens stealing Ronald Reagan's thunder. No one ever wants to give Reagan credit for anything. Even back then, even in his day, the media would, after the wall fell, the media would praise Gorbachev for ending the Cold War. And he's just like, ridiculous. I don't know, maybe I should do a whole thing about that, about the fall of the Cold War. Maybe I'll schedule that for around election time. Okay, back to it. Goddamn aliens stealing Ronald Reagan's thunder. Okay, back to it. A dubious woman then asked, this is what the fuck I want to know. Why was the shellfish poison necessary? A lot of his brain was blown off anyways. Cooper answers, the shellfish poison? Oh, if you go to kill someone, one thing I've learned, and I've learned it real good, I learned it especially good when I went to Vietnam, just because you shoot someone doesn't mean they're going to die. And if they don't die, they're going to be real mad. And if you got a gun, and if they've got a gun, you're dead. So you want the first time to be the last time. So if you really want to kill someone, you don't want to play around. If you really want to kill somebody, you kill them. You don't play. You make sure that when you shoot them, they're dead. That is why they can't hurt you, and they can't hurt you at all. Well, all right. So, all right. God, I have a real weird, crazy, weird story to tell. Bombs, right? So if you're going to blow someone up, you want them to really die. So a lot of times what you do when you build a bomb, and I'm not saying, I'm just saying, say you're building a pipe bomb. It could be any kind of bomb, really. What you could do is you could pack it on the outside, or, whatever, if you really wanted to, with nails and stuff, so it gets real messy, right? But then the trick to it is rat poison. Lots of rat poison. You pack as much fucking rat poison in with those nails as you can. And the idea is, so rat poison is an anticoagulant. That means you won't develop scabs. You won't develop scabs. So you just keep bleeding. So when the thing goes off, the nails do their business, right? The explosion does its business. The nails do their business. And that rat poison gets in there. And guess what it does? It does its business. I guess that's kind of the theory with the shellfish poison. It's so random, though. It seems random, right? Fucking shellfish poison? Regrettably, the next question was totally unintelligible. But thankfully, Mr. Cooper had a good public address system to amplify his reply. Quote, the first moon landing was May 22nd, 1962, or excuse me, that was the first landing on Mars. I'm sorry. May 22nd, 1962 was the winged probe that used a hydronized propeller, and it flew around approximately 3 orbits and landed on May 22nd, 1962. This was a joint United States and Russia endeavor. The first time that we landed on the moon was something during the probably middle 50s, because at that time was when President Kennedy stated that he wanted a man to set foot on the moon by the end of this decade. It's actually pronounced decade, but whenever Kennedy says it, he goes, this decade. We already had a base there. What about Mars? Another quick question. We have a base on Mars also, Cooper calmly replied. When did that happen? I don't know the exact date, but I do know the project's name. It was Adam and Eve, Project Adam and Eve. Wasn't the craft at Roswell, New Mexico destroyed and all the aliens killed? Another young man asked. All the aliens were dead, but the craft was not completely destroyed. It was severely damaged. Yes. On an unrelated note, an older gentleman asked, does that mean that Alternative 3 is true? Alternative 3 is absolutely true, and so is Alternative 2. The lecture was then essentially over. The Alternative 2 and Alternative 3 that were referred to briefly are, I'm just guessing now, that's the editor, not me. 2, government contingency plans to 1, declare martial law and invalidate the Constitution on the premise that a terrorist group has entered the country with a nuclear weapon and plans to detonate it in a major city. All dissidents would be rounded up and placed in concentration camps, and at the press and media would be nationalized. Adam Schiff's calling. All this, the information becomes public before they want it to, and if the aliens attempt to take over. And 2, another contingency plan to contain or delay the release of information, the details of which I am probably wrong about anyways. Mr. Cooper is a man who appears to be in his late 40s, of a medium height and weight. And he was dressed casually during the lecture. His hairline is receding slightly, and he carried himself with a confidence and purpose. Bill Cooper, as he is called by several in attendance, is not a professional speaker. His presentation lacked the polish and repeated deliveries which all other lectures had during the expo, but what it had lacked in fine-tuning was easily made up for in its content. Okay.
Are you interested in the occult, history, conspiracy, and violence? Learn more at Advertise.com. Find more episodes on this topic. Sign up for the mailing list for bonus content. Get access to the show archive. And visit the storefront for tarot cards, merch, and books. Learn more at Advertise.com.
All right, so I found this document that was also written by Bill Cooper, and I included it with I'm including it with this episode because, well, it's fun. He starts this document off. I don't know if this was a speech or what, but it starts off with him demanding that other media not use this without his written permission. So, okay, so it goes on to say, this file contains the absolute true information regarding the alien presence on Earth and the U.S. government's involvement with these aliens. This file contains only the information as I saw it and only my information. It does not contain any information from any other source, and it was necessary for me to issue the information previous to this release in a manner which would deceive the government until someone was able to independently confirm my identity, my employment, my service record, my intelligence background, my identity, of the person to which I gave the information in 1972. His acknowledgement of the information and when it was given to him, and the information is correct that I have not seen him since 1974. That was a great year, by the way. And that I have not communicated with him in any form since 76. This was necessary because the file is my death warrant if MJ-12 continues to operate in the manner consistent with its history. All in the last paragraph, I'm going to skip through this. It can be verified by these different people. I wish to make it absolutely clear that I do not consider myself a hero. I believe that most of you would do the same thing if you knew the truth. I gave an oath that I would uphold and protect the Constitution of the United States of America, and I take that oath very seriously. I am doing no more now than I did when I fought in Vietnam. I am doing my duty. Please make copies of this file and send it to your congressman, your senator, the Attorney General of the United States of America, and the Supreme Court. Send it also to everyone you know. Attach copies of the Bill English file and the John Lear's file. Send anything else you may have which tends to support this information. I, Milton William Cooper, I'm not going to dox him. I don't even know if this dude's still fucking alive, but he gives his address here. Do solemnly swear that the information contained in this file is true and correct to the best of my knowledge. I swear that I saw this information in 1972 in the performance of my duties as a member of the intelligence briefing team of the Commander-in-Chief of the Pacific Fleet, as a petty officer in the United States Navy, and I swear that I underwent hypnotic regression in order to make the information as accurate as possible. I swear that I can and I will take a lie detector test or any other test of any reputable person's choosing in order to confirm this information. I swear that I can and will undergo hypnotic regression conducted by a reputable and qualified doctor of any reputable person's choosing in order to confirm this information. I will not, however, submit to any test or hypnosis by anyone who is now or ever has been connected with the government in any capacity for any reason. Okay, here's the following is a brief listing of everything that I personally saw and know from 1972, and it does not contain any input from any other source whatsoever. Majesty was listed as the code word for the President of the United States for communications concerning this information. Operation Majority is the name of the operation responsible for every aspect, project, consequence of alien presence on the Earth. Grudge contains 16 volumes of documents. Information collected from the beginning of the United States investigation of unidentified flying objects, or UFOs, and unidentified alien crafts, or IACs. The project was financed by CIA. Oh, he did it right. You know, Colby always just said CIA. Everyone else seems to say the CIA. But here, Cooper got it right. The project was financed by CIA confidential funds, inappropriated, and money from illicit drug trade. Participation in illegal drug trade was justified that it would identify and eliminate the weak elements of our society. Purpose of Project Grudge was to collect all scientific, technological, medical, and intelligence information from UFO, IAC sightings, and contacts with alien life forms. This orderly file of collected information has been used to advance the United States space program. MJ-12 is the name of the secret control group. President Eisenhower commissioned the secret society known as the Jason Society or Jason Scholars to sift through all the facts, evidence, technology, lies, and deception, and to find the truth of the alien question. The society was made up of 32 of the most prominent men in the country. In 1972, the top 12 members were designated MJ-12. MJ-12, total control over everything. They are designated by the codes J1, J2, etc., all the way through the members of the Jason Society. The director of, he messes it up here. The director of the CIA was appointed J1 and is the director of MJ-12. MJ-12 is responsible only to the president. MJ-12 runs most of the world's illegal drug trade, and this was done hiding the funds, thus kept the secret from the Congress and the people of the United States of America. It is justified in that it would identify and eliminate the weak elements of society. The cost of funding the alien-connected projects is higher than anything you can imagine. I don't know, I can imagine a lot. In the immortal words of Han Solo. MJ-12 assassinated President Kennedy when he informed them that he was going to tell the public all the facts of the alien presence. He was killed by the Secret Service agent driving his car, and it is plainly visible in the film held from public view. A secret meeting place was constructed for MJ-12 in Maryland. And it was described as only accessible by the air. It contains full living, recreational, and other facilities for MJ-12 and the Jason Society. It is codenamed the Country Club, and only those with top secret magic clearances are allowed to go there. Magi is the majority agency for joint intelligence. All information, disinformation, and intelligence is gathered and evaluated by this agency. This agency is responsible for all disinformation and operates in conjunction with CIA. I'm sorry, he fucks it up again. Conjunction with the CIA, NSA, and Defense Intelligence Agency. This is a very powerful organization, and all alien projects are under its control. Magi is responsible only to MJ-12. Sigma is the project with first established communications with the aliens and is still responsible for communications. Plato is the project responsible for the diplomatic relationship with the aliens. The project secured a formal treaty legally under the Constitution with the aliens. The terms were that the aliens would give us technology, and in return we agreed to keep their presence on Earth a secret, not to interfere in any way with their actions, and to allow them to abduct human beings and animals. The aliens agreed to furnish MJ-12 with a list of abductees on a periodic basis. Magic is the secure classification and clearance of all alien-connected material, projects, and information. Magic means Magi-controlled. Aquarius is a project which compiled the history of alien presence and their interactions with Homo sapiens upon this planet for the last 25,000 years, and culminating with the Basque people who live in the mountainous country on the border of France and Spain, and the Syrians. Well, I wish he would have unpacked that a little bit. That's a fascinating tidbit of information. What the fuck? Garnet is a project responsible for controlling all information and documents regarding the subject and accountability of the information and documents. Okay. Pluto is a project who evaluates all UFO IAC information pertaining to this space. Looks like, okay, so this wasn't actually a document. This was some sort of speech or something, a recording, right? Because it says transmission garbled. Training to space, TEL, transmission garbled. Pounce is the project formed to recover all downed crashed craft and aliens. Red light. You don't have to put on the red light. Roxanne. is a project to test fly recovered alien crafts. It is conducted at Area 51 Dreamland in Nevada. It was aided when the aliens gave us craft and helped us fly them. The initial project was somewhat successful in that we flew a recovered craft, but we blew it up in the air and the pilots were killed. The project was suspended at that time until the aliens agreed to help us. Snowbird was established to cover for Project Red. You don't have to put on the red light. Several flying saucers were built using conventional technology, and they were unveiled to the press and flown in front of the press. The purpose was to explain accidental sightings or disclosure of "you don't have to put on the red light" as having been the Snowbird craft. Luna is an alien base on the far side of the moon. That's not very original. It was seen and filmed by the Apollo astronauts, a base, a mining operation using very large machines. And the very large alien craft described in citing this report as motherships exist there. All right, I gotta blast through some of these. Delta is a designation for a specific arm of the NRO. The NRO is a national recon organization based at Fort Carson, Colorado. Oh, aliens. There are 4 types of aliens mentioned in the papers. Large-nosed grays, with whom we have a treaty. The gray reported abductee cases worked for the large-nosed grays. A blonde human, like the type described as the Nordic. A red-haired human, like the type called the Orange. Some of the aliens are described as being a star in a constellation of Orion, Barnard's star, and Zeta Reticuli 1 or 2. I cannot remember even under hypnosis which alien belongs to each star. EBE, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get done. EBE is the name or designation given to the live alien captured at the 1949 Roswell alien. It stands for extraterrestrial biological entity, by the way. Krill, or Kurl, pronounced Krill or Krill, was the hostage left with us at the first Holoman landing as a pledge that the aliens would carry out their part of the basic agreement reached during the meeting. Guests were aliens exchanged for humans who gave us the balance of the yellow book. At the time I saw the information, there were 3 left alive. Religion. The aliens claim to have created Homo sapiens through hybridization. It's all about the Earth chicks. It's always been all about the Earth chicks. The papers say that RH blood is the proof of this. They further claim to have created all 4 major religions. They showed a hologram of the crucifixion of Christ, which the government filmed. They claimed that Jesus was created by them. Alien bases exist in 4 corners of the area of Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Nevada. 6 bases were described in 1972 papers, all on Indian reservations. And all in the 4 corners area. The base near Dulce was one of them. Murder. The document stated that many military and government personnel had been murdered without due process of the law when they have attempted to reveal the secret. Craft recoveries, abductions. Okay, I can do this one. Occurred long before 72. The document stated that humans and animals were being abducted and or mutilated. Many vanished without a trace. They were taking sperm and ova samples, tissue, performed surgical operations, implanted a spherical device 40 to 80 microns in size near the optic nerve in the brain, all in attempts to remove it, has resulted in death of the patient. Okay, sorry, I gotta go, guys. It's been fun. It's been a good one. Thank you for your support. I appreciate it. Thanks for listening, and I love you.
Thank you for listening, and we hope that you enjoyed the show. Please send an email or find us on social media and let us know what you think about the show. We would appreciate it if you would give us a 5-star rate and review wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can find Stigmata Studios, graphic, novels, and comic books at abracast.com.